Night shift workers see things that nobody else ever will. Because after midnight, the world stops watching. A grocery store in Ohio, a hospital basement in Indiana, a motel room that should have been empty, a warehouse where someone never clocked out, and a 911 call that came from a dead man's phone. 5 real night shift workers. 5 nights they will never forget. Stay until the end, because the last story never actually ended. I took the night shift because it paid 50 cents more an hour, and because my life was falling apart in small, quiet ways. Bills piling up, a car that drank gas like water, and a girlfriend who stopped believing my next month will be better speeches. So I applied at a grocery store off the highway in Western Ohio. Not a big chain like Walmart, just one of those mid-sized places with a pharmacy, a bakery, and bright lights that somehow make everyone look exhausted. My schedule was simple: 10 at night to 6 in the morning, stocking shelves, cleaning floors, helping the occasional late customer. It was boring, and honestly, boring felt safe. The manager who hired me, Denise, gave me a warning on my first day. She said, "Night shift is easy until it isn't." Then she pointed to a printed sheet taped behind the service desk. Night rules: keep the front doors locked after 11. Customers must ring the bell for entry. Never go into the back lot alone. If you see anyone in the aisles after closing, call security first. And if you hear freezer alarms, don't ignore them. I nodded like I understood, but I didn't, because I thought those rules were about shoplifters or drunk people wandering in for snacks. Not what actually happened. The store officially closed at 11, but we allowed late shoppers until midnight. After that, anyone outside had to ring the bell and wait for us to unlock the door. That was the routine. Night crew was small. Me, Rico, working dairy, and our overnight supervisor, Marlene. Early 50s, rough smoker's voice, eyes that looked like she'd already seen everything life could throw at her. We also had security. Technically, his name was Stan. He mostly sat in a tiny office watching monitors, drinking burnt coffee. He was supposed to patrol every hour. Sometimes he actually did. Most nights nothing happened. You stocked cereal, listened to refrigeration humming, watched time crawl forward. Sometimes customers rang the bell at 1 in the morning asking for almond milk. Sometimes teenagers tried stealing beer. Normal stuff. But the night it started was painfully normal. Wednesday, around 2:30 a.m., Rico and I were stocking near the dairy wall. Cold air spilled out every time the fridge doors opened. My hands were numb. The store smelled like cardboard and floor cleaner. That's when I noticed something. The sign for aisle 9 was moving, swinging slightly, not falling, like someone had brushed past it. Aisle 9 held paper goods and baby supplies, diapers, wipes, paper towels. One of the quietest aisles in the store. Nobody should have been there. I looked down the aisle. Nothing. Just long shelves disappearing into fluorescent light. Rico didn't even look up. He just said, "You see that too?" I shrugged. Probably air vents. He looked at me like he didn't believe that for a second. Then he lowered his voice. "You hear about the closed aisle rule?" I shook my head. He nodded toward the front. Last month, someone hid inside after closing. They didn't find him until morning. My stomach tightened. Homeless guy. Rico didn't answer. He just kept working. At exactly 3 a.m., Marlene called over the radio. "Front needs help." Bell ring. Then she added, "New kid, you're with me." I walked to the entrance. Outside, the parking lot was wet from earlier rain. Yellow lights reflecting off the asphalt. And standing at the door was a man. Put up, hands in pockets. Perfectly still. He wasn't ringing the bell anymore. Just waiting. Watching. Marlene pressed the intercom. "Store's closed. What do you need?" No answer. She tried again. The man slowly tilted his head, like he was listening to something inside the building. Then he smiled. Slow. Roll. He lifted a folded paper to the glass. One word written in black marker. "Bathroom." Marlene sighed. "Of course." She reached for the keys. But something felt wrong. The man didn't look desperate. Didn't move. Didn't rush. He looked calm. Too calm. Marlene cracked the door slightly. "Bathrooms closed overnight," she said. The man raised the paper again and flipped it over. New words. I already did. My throat went dry. Marlene slammed the door shut and locked it. "What the hell?" she whispered. Then, the store announcement chime sounded overhead, and a voice came through the PA system. A real voice. Male. Close to the microphone. "Can somebody tell me where the baby formula is?" My blood turned to ice. Customers couldn't access the PA. Only employees could. And the microphone was inside the store. Marlene grabbed my arm. "We're going to security." The office monitors were still running, but Stan was gone. And on the main camera feed, aisle 9, a hooded figure stood at the far end, completely still, facing the camera. Another monitor showed the front entrance. The same man still outside. 2 places, at once. Then the figure inside the store slowly lifted one hand and waved at us. Marlene whispered, "No, not tonight." The clock on the aisle camera read 3:17 a.m. Then the hallway camera changed, and we saw him, standing outside the security office door, waiting. 3 slow taps echoed through the monitor. Tap, tap, tap. Then the PA chimed again. "I told you." I already did. Moments later, the lights went out. Footsteps approached the door. Slow, confident. A whisper slid through the crack beneath it. "Open up." We ran, out the fire exit, into the cold night air. And there, under the backlot light, Stan sat shaking against the wall, alive, barely able to speak. He finally whispered. He was already back there. Police searched everything later. Found nothing, except one thing. Inside aisle 9, a folded paper, 2 words written in marker. "See you." And underneath, 3:17. I quit the next day. But ever since then, I wake up every night at exactly 3:17 a.m. certain someone is walking just outside my bedroom wall, slowly, patiently, waiting for me to believe the door is locked. I did night shift at a hospital because it was one of the few jobs that didn't care what your life looked like as long as you showed up. I was 24, community college on and off, rent always late, and a resume full of gaps I didn't know how to explain. So when Mercy Valley Medical hired me as a night transporter, I took it. If you don't know what a transporter does, it sounds simple. You push beds, wheel patients to imaging, move discharged people to the pickup loop, and sometimes you bring bodies to the morgue when the nurses don't have enough hands. That last part is why my mom begged me not to take the job, but I told her what I told everyone. It's fine. It's a hospital. It's safe. And most nights it was. Night shift in a hospital isn't like TV. It's not constant screaming and drama. It's mostly fluorescent quiet, beeping monitors, soft footsteps, the smell of antiseptic and reheated coffee. The hospital was in southern Indiana, outside a small city. Big enough to have a trauma bay, not big enough to have endless security. We had cameras. We had badge readers. We had 1 security guard after midnight, sometimes 2 on weekends. They sat near the ER and washed monitors like it was a second job they didn't care about. My shift ran 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And every night, around 3:00 a.m., the hospital felt different, less human, like the building was awake, but everyone inside it was asleep. The scariest part wasn't the dead. It was the empty hallways, long corridors with locked doors, stairwells that echoed, basement tunnels connecting buildings built back when hospitals expanded like they were growing roots underground. On my first week, an older nurse named Tasha pulled me aside. She gave me advice I didn't ask for. "Never take the basement corridor alone," she said. I laughed a little. "Because of ghosts." Tasha didn't laugh. "Because of people," she said. "People who know where the cameras don't reach." Then she looked me dead in the eyes and added, "And if you hear someone call your name down there, you keep walking." I nodded like I understood. I didn't. Not until the night I pushed a gurney into the basement corridor and realized the door had locked behind me. It started with a routine call. 3:12 a.m. radiology needed a patient moved back to the 3rd floor cardiac wing. The patient was sedated, minimal monitoring, easy transport. The nurse in imaging, tired eyes, ponytail, handed me the chart and said, "Elevators are down for service again. Take the staff tunnel." I frowned. "The basement tunnel?" She shrugged. "Faster than waiting. You'll be fine." That's how it always happens. The scariest nights start with someone saying, "You'll be fine." I pushed the gurney through the heavy door marked, "Authorized personnel only." The hallway beyond it smelled different. Not antiseptic. Damp concrete. Old building. The lights were motion sensors. They flickered on in sections as I moved. My wheels squeaked softly. The patient lay still, face turned slightly to the side, breathing slow. A man in his 50s. Gray hair. Hospital wristband. The tunnel sloped downward. A long straight shot with pipes along the ceiling, and doors on either side marked storage and mechanical. Halfway down, my radio crackled. "Transport, you copy?" Security asked. I pressed the button. "Copy." Static. Then, "You in the basement?" My stomach tightened. "Yeah, staff tunnel." A pause. Then security said slower. "Why?" "Elevators are down," I replied. Another pause. And then, like he was choosing his words carefully, "Don't stop moving. Get to the other door and badge out." I stopped walking without meaning to. "What?" I asked. My voice echoed. Security didn't answer. The radio hissed with static and went dead. The motion sensor lights ahead of me flickered once and dimmed. I forced myself to keep pushing. My heart started pounding, not because I saw anything, but because of that tone. That "don't stop moving" tone, like something had already happened. I rolled past a door with a broken keypad, past a yellow mop bucket, past an abandoned wheelchair tucked into a corner like it had been left in a hurry. Then, I heard it, a soft sound behind me. Not footsteps exactly, more like rubber soles dragging lightly. I stopped again. The hallway went completely still. I listened. Nothing. I told myself it was the gurney wheels settling. I started moving again. 2 seconds later, the dragging sound returned, slightly closer, and this time I could place it. Someone was walking behind me, but trying not to. The tunnel was long, straight, no corners, nowhere to hide. I glanced back. At first, I saw nothing but darkness behind the last pool of light. Then the lights behind me flickered on, and I saw a shape at the far end. A person, standing perfectly still. Too far to see details, but close enough to see posture. Shoulders slightly hunched, head tilted, like they were listening to me breathe. My throat went dry. "Hey," I called out, trying to sound official. "Basement is staff only." The figure didn't respond. It just started walking, slowly, and the lights turned on ahead of it in segments, like the building was guiding them. I pushed harder. The gurney rattled. The sedated patient's hand shifted with the movement, fingers loose. The figure behind me kept walking, not running, not rushing, confident, like it knew I couldn't go fast forever. My mind raced. Turn around? Impossible. Hallway too narrow with the gurney. Run and leave the patient? That felt unthinkable. And then I realized something worse. The doors on either side of the tunnel had no windows. If someone pulled me into one of those rooms, no one would hear. The dragging footsteps got closer. Then a voice. Low, calm, not shouting, just speaking like we were having a normal conversation. "Hey, Marcus." My blood turned cold. That was my name. Nobody down here called me Marcus. Not security, not radiology, not the nurses who only called me transport. Only a handful of people in the whole hospital used my name, and none of them were down here. I kept pushing. The voice continued, conversational. "Don't do that. Don't ignore me." My hands were sweating so hard I nearly lost grip. Then the voice said something that twisted my stomach. "You always come down here at the same time." I didn't answer. I pushed harder. The end door was visible now. Heavy metal, badge reader, freedom. I could almost taste relief. Then the gurney will hit something on the floor. A cable. It snagged. The gurney lurched sideways. The patient's head rolled slightly. I swore under my breath and yanked at the wheel, trying to free it. And in that second of stopping, the footsteps behind me stopped too. Close. Too close. I didn't turn around. I just kept yanking. Then I felt warm breath near my ear. A whisper. "I knew you'd get stuck." My entire body seized. I could smell him. Not alcohol. Not cigarettes. Something metallic and sour, like old sweat. My mind screamed at me to move, but my body froze. Then he whispered again. "Don't worry. I'm not here for the sleeping one." My skin went prickly. I forced my arms to move. I jerked the wheel free and shoved forward, stumbling. I slammed my badge against the reader. Red light. Denied. I tried again. Red. Again. Red. My badge wasn't working. Panic shot through me like electricity. Behind me, the man laughed softly. Not a big laugh. Just a breathy sound. Like amusement. "You think that works down here?" he asked. I turned my head just enough to see him. Finally. He was close, maybe 6 feet away. He wore blue scrubs. Like a nurse. But not clean hospital scrubs. Wrinkled. Stained at the hem. And his hospital ID was flipped backward, so I couldn't read it. His face was thin, eyes too bright, and the smile didn't reach them. He lifted one hand slowly. In his hand, a ring of hospital master keys. They jingled softly, like a warning. Then he tilted his head toward the gurney. "You've been carrying people past me for weeks," he said, "and you never even looked." My throat burned. "What do you want?" I managed. He stepped closer. One slow step, then another. I backed into the door behind me. Nowhere else to go. He nodded at the badge reader. "That door doesn't open for you anymore," he said gently. "Not tonight." Then he pointed down the hallway toward a side door labeled linen storage. "And that one," he said, voice calm, "does." I shook my head. He smiled wider. "Marcus," he said, almost disappointed, "don't make me drag you." I grabbed the gurney rail like it was an anchor. My mind jumped to the patient, sedated, helpless, a witness who couldn't witness. Then, out of nowhere, the patient made a sound. A rough inhale, a cough, small but human. The man's eyes snapped to him. His smile flickered, just for a second. And in that second, I saw something real. Not calm, not charm, anger, like the patient had ruined something. The man took one step toward the gurney, and I did the only thing my panicked brain could think of. I slammed the emergency rail and shoved the gurney forward, hard, ramming it into him. Not like in movies, not powerful, but enough. Enough to make him stumble, enough to make the keys clatter. I lunged down, grabbed the key ring, and my shaking hands fumbled through them. First key, didn't fit. Second key, didn't fit. The man recovered fast. He moved toward me, eyes wide now, furious. "Hands OFF," he hissed. I jammed another key into the lock, and it turned. The bolt shifted. The door cracked open. Cold air, brighter light, spilled through. I shoved the gurney through and squeezed after it. The man grabbed my shirt from behind. Fabric tore. I stumbled forward, but I was out. I slammed the door and turned the lock, the master key still in my hand. On the other side, he hit the door once, twice, then stopped. Silence. I stood shaking in a brighter hallway, a cleaner, newer part of the hospital, like I'd crawled out of a basement nightmare into reality. A nurse at a station stared at me like I was insane. "And Marcus?" she asked. "What happened?" I couldn't speak. I just held up the key ring, trembling. Security arrived within minutes. 2 guards this time, not one. They checked the basement tunnel. They found the cable that snagged my gurney, placed deliberately like a trap. They found the abandoned wheelchair, moved closer to the center of the hallway. And they found something else that made everyone go quiet. On the wall near the door I'd been trying to badge through, someone had taped a printed hospital label, the kind used for patient specimens. It had my name, Marcus H., and beneath it, in neat handwriting, 3:12 a.m., transport route confirmed. Security told me the basement badge logs showed attempts to disable access points. Someone with master key access had been moving around down there for weeks. But here's the part that still makes my stomach flip. When they reviewed older footage, they spotted him. Not just that night, in clips from other nights. Standing in shadows at the edge of camera range, watching transporters pass, sometimes walking behind them slowly, patiently, like he was deciding which one would finally stop. They never caught him. Not officially. The hospital said they increased security measures. They told staff it was a procedural review. But Tasha, the older nurse, pulled me aside on my last shift. Her eyes looked tired. "I told you," she said softly. "People know where cameras don't reach." I quit the next day, and I still can't explain one thing. My badge worked everywhere else in the hospital, but down in that basement corridor, it stopped working the exact second I needed it, like the building itself had chosen a side. Sometimes, when I wake up in the dark, I still hear a soft, dragging step behind me, and a calm voice close to my ear. "Don't ignore me." I worked the night shift at a roadside motel for almost 8 months. If you've ever driven across the Midwest late at night, you've probably seen places like it. 2 floors, a faded neon sign, an ice machine that barely worked, parking lot lights buzzing with insects. Our sat just off Interstate 70 in western Kansas. Truck drivers stayed there, travelers too tired to keep driving, and sometimes people who didn't want their names connected to wherever they were going next. Night shift paid a little more. That's why I took it. 11 at night until 7 in the morning. Just me, a front desk, and security cameras older than I was. Most nights were quiet. Check someone in, sell snacks, answer complaints about broken air conditioning. After midnight, the world slowed down. By 2 a.m., the motel usually felt abandoned. That's when room 214 started bothering me. At first, it wasn't scary. just inconvenient. Around 1:40 a.m., I noticed something strange in the reservation system. Room 214 still showed occupied, but checkout had already happened earlier that day. Housekeeping cleaned every room upstairs, except that one. I assumed paperwork hadn't updated. It happens all the time, so I ignored it until the phone rang. Front desk phones sound louder at night. Too loud. I picked up. Front desk, this is Daniel. Silence. Not empty silence. Breathing. Very faint, like someone holding the phone close, trying not to speak. Hello, I said again. The breathing stopped instantly. Then the line disconnected. I checked caller ID. Internal extension. Room 214. I frowned. Probably a drunk guest messing around. So I called back. The phone rang once, twice, then switched to voicemail, which made no sense. Our motel phones didn't even have voicemail. That's when I checked the reservation again. Still occupied. No guest name attached. Just blank. Around 2:15 a.m., I grabbed the master key card. Policy said night staff should verify suspicious rooms. Simple check. Knock. Confirm. Leave. The upstairs hallway smelled like old carpet cleaner. Every step echoed softly. Most rooms had normal sounds. TV noise. Snoring. Running showers. Room 214 sat at the far corner. The hallway light above it flickered slowly, and hanging from the handle was a do not disturb sign. But it looked old. Yellowed. Different from our motel's current signs. Like it belonged to another building entirely. I knocked. Front desk. No answer. I knocked again. Nothing. Then I leaned closer to listen. That's when I heard movement inside. Slow pacing. Back and forth. Bare feet dragging lightly across carpet. I cleared my throat. Sir? Just confirming occupancy. The pacing stopped instantly. Complete silence. Then, a quiet click. The deadbolt turning from inside. The handle moved slightly, but the door never opened. Just enough movement to tell me someone stood there. Watching. Waiting. Every instinct told me to leave. So I stepped back. All right, just checking, I said, and turned to walk away. Behind me, the door opened 2 inches. I froze. I didn't want to look back, but I did. Through the narrow crack, there was only darkness. No lamp, no television glow, just black. Then a voice came from inside. Dry, confused. What day is it? I hesitated. Thursday. A long pause followed. Then the voice whispered, that can't be right. The door slowly closed. Click. Locked again. Back at the desk, I checked deeper into the system. Room 214 had last checked in 3 days earlier. Guest name, Michael Carter. But checkout was logged the next morning. Housekeeping reported the room empty. Payment complete. Stay finished. According to records, no one should have been inside. I checked the security cameras. Second floor hallway appeared on screen. Room 214 clearly visible. I rewound footage. 1:38 a.m. hallway empty. 1:41 a.m. The time the phone rang, and that's when I noticed something impossible. The door to room 214 was already slightly open. I watched carefully. At 1:42, the door opened wider. Slowly. No person visible. Just darkness inside. After 10 seconds, the door shut by itself. No one entered. No one left. My chest tightened. Then movement appeared near the stairwell camera. A tall figure walking toward room 214 earlier that night. Hooded sweatshirt. Head lowered. The figure stopped outside the room and stood there. 5 full minutes. Not knocking. Not moving. Just standing. Then the footage skipped. When video returned, the hallway was empty. No one leaving. No one entering. Just the closed door. Right then, the lobby elevator dinged. I nearly jumped. A traveler walked in. Backpack. Tired eyes. Normal check-in. Until he glanced at the monitor behind me. Specifically, room 214. His face drained of color. Why are you showing that room? He asked quietly. It's just security feed, I said. He stared harder. That room shouldn't be rented. A chill ran through me. You stayed here before? He nodded slowly. My brother disappeared from that room. My hand stopped moving. Police investigation. Missing person case. His brother checked into room 214 during a road trip. Never checked out. Car still outside. Wallet still inside. No footage showing him leaving. Case went cold. The man stared at the monitor again. That door looked exactly like that, the night he vanished. At that exact moment, the desk phone rang again. Extension call. Room 214. We both stared at it. I answered slowly. Front desk. Breathing again. Closer now. Then a weak voice spoke. "Can you help me?" The traveler beside me went pale, because the voice sounded exactly like his brother. He whispered, "That's him." The phone crackled. Then the voice said, "I think I checked in yesterday." My skin turned cold. They won't let me leave the room. The call disconnected. We ran upstairs together. Adrenaline erased logic. Room 214 door stood still, the old sign swaying slightly. I knocked hard. No response. I swiped the master key. Green light. Door unlocked. We pushed inside. The room was empty. Perfectly clean. Bedmate. Bathroom dry. No luggage. Nothing. Except one thing. On the nightstand, an old motel key envelope. Yellowed with age. Guest name written in pen. Michael Carter. Check-in date, 1 year earlier. Behind us, the hallway light flickered, and somewhere down the corridor, a door creaked open. We turned. Every room remained closed, except room 214. Behind us, the door we had just opened was slowly closing. On its own. Click. Locked again. Police came later. Found nothing. Management removed room 214 from booking listings. Officially under renovation. But truck drivers still talk. Because sometimes, late at night, the front desk phone rings from an extension that no longer exists. And when someone answers, a tired voice asks only one question. "What day is it?" I took the warehouse security job because nights were supposed to be quiet. At least, that's what they told me. The facility sat outside Columbus, Ohio, surrounded by empty industrial land and long stretches of highway. During the day, the place was chaos. Trucks arriving nonstop, forklifts moving pallets, supervisors shouting over machinery. But at night, almost everyone went home. Only 3 types of people stayed: night loaders, maintenance workers, and security, which meant me. My shift ran midnight to 8 in the morning. I worked alone most nights inside a small security office near the entrance. My job sounded easy. Watch cameras, log truck arrivals, do patrol walks every hour. Nothing exciting. The warehouse itself was massive. Rows of shelving stretched upward into darkness, stacked higher than houses. Even with lights on, parts of the building felt unfinished. Too big, too quiet. My supervisor Greg trained me the first night. Before leaving, he gave one strange instruction. If you see someone working alone past 3 a.m., he said, check their badge. I laughed. People sneaking over time? Greg didn't smile. Just check the badge. Then he left. The first few weeks were normal. Around 2:30 a.m., activity slowed. By 3, forklifts stopped running. By 4, the warehouse felt empty except for humming machines and metal settling sounds. That's when I first noticed him. Camera 17 covered aisle D, near the back loading docks. One night around 3:12 a.m., movement appeared there. A worker pushing a pallet jack. Not unusual, except everyone scheduled that night had already clocked out for break. I zoomed in. Male worker, gray hoodie under a warehouse vest. Head lowered, moving slowly between shelves. I checked the employee tracker screen. Every active badge showed workers in the break room. Nobody registered in aisle D. I assumed the system lagged. So during my patrol, I walked back there. Walking inside a warehouse at night feels different. Lights buzz overhead. Footsteps echo forever. Every aisle looks identical. When I reached aisle D, no one was there. No worker. No pallet jack. Just silence. I figured I imagined it. Until the next night. Same time. 3:10 a.m. camera 17 again. Same man. Same hoodie. Same slow movement. This time, he stopped mid-aisle and looked directly into the camera. My stomach tightened. Workers almost never noticed those cameras, but he stared straight into it, then walked out of frame. I grabbed my flashlight immediately and headed back again. Empty. Completely empty. That's when curiosity turned into concern. I checked archived footage, and that's when things stopped making sense. He appeared every night. Same aisle. Same time. 3:10 to 3:15 a.m. Sometimes pushing equipment. Sometimes standing still. Sometimes just watching nothing. Or maybe waiting. I called Greg the next morning. When I described the worker, he went quiet, then asked one question. Gray hoodie. Yeah. Long silence. Then Greg sighed. Don't go back there alone again. That answer made everything worse. 2 nights later, everything changed. Around 3:05 a.m., motion alarms triggered across multiple aisles at once. Aisle B, aisle D, aisle F, movement everywhere. like someone walking quickly through the warehouse. Too quickly. Camera feeds flickered. Then I saw him again. But this time, he was moving toward the security hallway. Toward me. I grabbed the radio. All personnel confirm location. Workers answered immediately. Break room. Dock 2. Maintenance bay. Everyone accounted for. Except him. Camera foreshowed the hallway outside my office. Empty. Then the motion light turned on. Someone approaching. Slow footsteps echoed faintly through the wall. The office suddenly felt very small. The door handle rattled once, then stopped. A shadow passed beneath the door. I forced myself to open it. The hallway was empty, but I heard footsteps retreating back into the warehouse. Slow, unhurried, like whoever it was knew I would follow. And stupidly, I did. The warehouse lights felt dimmer that night. Rows stretched endlessly ahead. Then I saw him, standing halfway down aisle D, back facing me. Gray hoodie, warehouse vest, perfectly still. Hey, I called out. No response. I walked closer. My flashlight beam hit his back. The vest logo looked old, a company design no longer used. I was 10 feet away when he spoke. Without turning around, "You're new." His voice sounded dry, like someone who hadn't spoken in a long time. "Show me your badge," I said. He slowly turned, and my stomach dropped. His employee badge hung from his vest. The photo was faded, almost erased, but one detail was clear. Year issued, 5 years earlier. His face looked wrong, pale, eyes exhausted, like someone trapped between shifts. "You shouldn't be here," I said. He tilted his head slightly. "That's what they told me." A cold feeling spread through my chest. "What shift are you on?" He looked past me instead of answering, then quietly said, "They never told me to leave." Suddenly, I remembered something from orientation. An accident years ago. Night shift worker crushed between pallets. Location, aisle D. I swallowed. "What's your name?" He smiled faintly, but it wasn't happy. It looked lonely. They stopped saying it. The lights above us flickered violently. Forklift alarms suddenly beeped somewhere far away, even though no machines were running. My radio exploded with static. Then, all the lights shut off. Total darkness. Only my flashlight remained. I swung the beam forward. The aisle was empty. He was gone. But behind me, footsteps continued deeper into the warehouse. Slow, dragging slightly. Like before, security reviewed footage later. And what they showed me made my stomach drop. At 3:12 a.m., cameras captured me standing alone in aisle D, talking, nodding, responding to empty air. No second person visible. Greg finally told me the truth. A worker named Daniel Reeves died there in 2018. Night shift accident, pinned between loads, found during morning changeover. The strange part? After his death, his badge kept registering activity. Clock ends at 3:10 a.m. Always aisle D. Engineers blamed system errors. Eventually, they deleted the ID. Problem solved. Officially. But guards before me had reported seeing someone working alone at night. Always new security staff first. Like he noticed newcomers. Like he needed someone to acknowledge him. I quit 2 weeks later. But on my final shift, before turning in my uniform, I checked the employee time log one last time. And for a single second, a name appeared under active workers. Logged in at 3:10 a.m. location, aisle D, employee status. Clocked in, but never clocked out. People think 911 dispatchers get used to fear. They imagine after enough emergencies, the screaming stops affecting you. That isn't true. You never get used to it. You just learn how to sound calm, while someone else is living the worst moment of their life. I worked night shift dispatch in northern Arizona for almost 3 years. Midnight to 8 in the morning. Those hours are different. At night, people are alone. Drunk drivers, domestic fights, highway crashes, lost travelers calling from empty desert roads, and sometimes calls that don't make sense. The shift that changed everything started quietly. Early October, around 2:40 a.m., call volume dropped like it usually did. Only 3 of us were working. Dim lights, computer screens glowing blue, coffee going cold beside keyboards. Outside the windows, the city looked completely asleep. Then line 4 lit up. Incoming emergency call. No caller ID. Only GPS coordinates from a rural highway outside town. I answered automatically. 911, what's your emergency? At first, nothing. Just wind. Strong desert wind hitting the microphone. Then breathing. Fast. Panicked breathing. Hello. I said again. A man finally spoke. Quiet. Shaking. I think someone's following me. That wasn't unusual. We receive calls like that often. I pulled up location data. Highway 89. Long desert stretch. Miles between exits. Sir, are you in a vehicle? Yes. His voice cracked. They've been behind me for 20 minutes. I alerted Highway Patrol while keeping him talking. What's your name? Eric. Okay, Eric. Officers are on the way. Stay on the line. For a moment, things sounded normal. Engine noise. Road vibration. Turn signal clicking. Then Eric whispered. They turn off their headlights when I slowed down. A chill ran through me. Predatory driving behavior. Can you see them now? I asked. Pause. They're closer. I could hear another engine faintly through his phone. Low. Heavy. Then Eric gasped. Oh God, what happened? They pulled beside me. His breathing became uneven. They're looking at me. I leaned closer to my screen. Describe them. Long silence. Then Eric said something that made the entire room feel colder. I can't see a face. Static cracked through the line. Wind grew louder. Then tires screamed. Metal slammed. Eric shouted, they hit me. The call exploded with sound. Glass breaking. Vehicle spinning. Grinding metal. Then silence. Complete silence. Eric. I said quickly. Eric, can you hear me? Only static answered. GPS location froze. Highway Patrol arrived 8 minutes later. They found Eric's truck overturned off the road. Severe crash. Driver deceased at scene. No second vehicle found. No tire tracks except his own. Official report. Loss of control accident. Case closed. But the call didn't end. 5 minutes after officers confirmed the fatality, line 4 lit up again. Same coordinates. Same connection. My coworker Jenna looked at me. That yours again? I answered slowly. 911. What's your emergency? Wind filled the headset again. Then breathing. The same breathing. My stomach dropped. A familiar voice whispered. I think someone's following me. The room suddenly felt too quiet. I checked timestamps. Live call. Not recording. Eric continued speaking exactly like before. Same fear. Same road. Same words. Like time had reset. I muted my microphone. Patrol already confirmed he's dead. I whispered to Jenna. She stared at me. Hang up. But dispatch training doesn't allow that. You never hang up on someone in danger. I unmuted. Eric, where are you right now? He sounded confused. Driving. Then he asked quietly, why do you sound different? My heart pounded. Because according to reality, Eric had already died. Then panic returned to his voice. They turned their lights off again. The exact same sentence. Events repeated perfectly. Breathing. Fear. Acceleration. I realized something horrifying. I wasn't receiving a new call. I was hearing his final moments again. But live. And this time, I knew what was coming. Eric gasped. Oh God, crash. Metal tearing apart. Glass exploding. Then silence again. The call stayed connected. 30 seconds passed. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Nothing but an open line. I whispered carefully. Eric. Static shifted. Then a voice returned. Calm now. Almost relieved. Did they stop following me? Every nerve in my body locked. Because his tone had changed. Aware. Like he finally understood something. Before I could answer, another sound entered the line. Breathing. Slow. Close to Eric's phone. Not Eric. Someone else. Then a whisper. Low, distorted. Right into the microphone. He pulled over. The line disconnected instantly. Call log vanished seconds later. IT called it system corruption. Supervisors told us to forget it. Officially, the second call never existed. But sometimes during late shifts, around 2:40 line 4 flickers on by itself. No caller ID. No connection. Just wind moving softly through my headset. Like someone still driving down that empty desert highway, trying to escape something that never stopped following him. And still waiting for someone to answer.